Question 1. A project manager is leading a software development project using an Agile approach. The team has completed several sprints, and a new stakeholder expresses concern that the project lacks sufficient upfront documentation. What is the most appropriate response from the project manager? A. Reassure the stakeholder that all necessary documentation will be produced at the end of the project. B. Explain that Agile projects prioritize working software over comprehensive documentation, but necessary artifacts are produced iteratively. C. Initiate a change request to revert to a plan-driven approach for all future sprints. D. Request the team to pause development and produce detailed documentation for all completed work. Answer. B. Explain that Agile projects prioritize working software over comprehensive documentation, but necessary artifacts are produced iteratively. Agile methodologies, guided by the Agile Manifesto, value working software over comprehensive documentation, meaning the primary focus is on delivering functional product increments rather than extensive upfront paperwork. However, this does not mean no documentation. It implies that documentation is sufficient, just in time, and created iteratively as needed, such as user stories, sprint backlogs, and release notes. It's crucial for the project manager to educate stakeholders on Agile principles and explain how documentation is handled within an Agile context to manage expectations effectively. Always help stakeholders understand the why behind Agile practices. Question 2. A project manager has just taken over a troubled project. The team is demotivated, there are frequent conflicts, and deliverables are consistently late. Which of the following interpersonal and team skills should the project manager prioritize to address the team's issues? A. Negotiation and procurement management. B. Stakeholder analysis and communication planning. C. Conflict resolution and motivational techniques. D. Risk identification and qualitative risk analysis. Answer. C. Conflict resolution and motivational techniques. When a team is demotivated and experiencing frequent conflicts, the project manager must focus on interpersonal and team-focused skills to restore productivity and morale. Conflict resolution helps address disagreements and foster a collaborative environment, while motivational techniques encourage engagement and commitment from team members. These skills are essential for building a high-performing team within the team performance domain, as a cohesive and motivated team is crucial for project success. Remember, a project manager is often a leader who guides and inspires their team. Question 3. During a project's execution phase, a key stakeholder raises a new requirement that was not initially part of the approved scope baseline. What should the project manager do first? A. Immediately integrate the new requirement into the project plan to satisfy the stakeholder. B. Reject the requirement outright as it is outside the approved scope. C. Document the requirement and initiate the formal change control process. D. Convene an urgent meeting with the team to assess the effort required for the new requirement. Answer. C. Document the requirement and initiate the formal change control process. Any new requirement identified after the scope baseline is approved constitutes a change request and must be managed through the integrated change control process. The project manager's first step is to document the change request and then follow the established organizational change control procedures, which typically involve assessing the impact on scope, schedule, cost, and quality, and then presenting it for review and approval by the Change Control Board, CCB. This structured approach ensures that all changes are properly evaluated and approved before implementation, maintaining project control. Adhering to the change control process is critical for managing scope creep and preventing uncontrolled project expansion. Question 4. A project manager is evaluating potential risks for a new IT infrastructure project. They identify a risk that, if it occurs, could lead to a significant delay in network deployment. The team estimates a 30% probability of this risk occurring and a potential impact of $50,000. What is the expected monetary value, EMV, for this risk? A. $15,000. B. $50,000. C. $30,000. D. $35,000. Answer: A. $15,000. Expected monetary value, EMV, is a statistical technique used to calculate the average outcome when the future includes scenarios that may or may not happen. It's calculated by multiplying the probability of each risk event by its monetary impact, then summing these values. For this specific risk, EMV equals probability times impact equals 0.30 times $50,000 equals $15,000. EMV helps in quantitative risk analysis to compare the financial implications of different risks, providing a data-driven basis for decision-making. Think of EMV as the expected financial impact if the risk were to occur many times over. Question 5. In an Agile project, the product owner is responsible for managing the product backlog. Which of the following is the most important characteristic of a well-managed product backlog? A. It is static and defined at the beginning of the project. B. It contains only technical tasks for the development team. C. It is ordered, estimated, detailed appropriately, and emergent. D. It is created solely by the Scrum Master based on team capacity. Answer: C. It is ordered, estimated, detailed appropriately, and emergent. A well-managed product backlog, often described by the acronym DEEP, is dynamic, estimated, emergent, and prioritized, or ordered. Ordered means items are ranked by value, estimated means effort is assessed, detailed appropriately means top items are clearer than lower ones, and emergent signifies that it continuously evolves with new information and learning. The product owner actively refines this backlog to ensure the development team always works on the most valuable items, reflecting a clear understanding of stakeholder needs and business value within the delivery performance domain. Keeping the backlog deep ensures the team is always focused on delivering the highest value. Question 6. A project manager discovers that a project deliverable, which was previously approved, has a critical defect. The defect was found during the final quality audit. What is the most appropriate action for the project manager to take next? A. Close the project immediately, as the deliverable is flawed. B. Issue a change request to rework the defective deliverable. C. Release the deliverable to the customer with a note about the defect. D. Blame the quality control team for missing the defect earlier. Answer: B. Issue a change request to rework the defective deliverable. When a critical defect is found in an approved deliverable, it signifies a nonconformance that needs immediate attention to ensure quality standards are met. The most appropriate action is to issue a change request to document the defect and formally initiate the rework process. This ensures the defect is addressed systematically, impacts are assessed, and the resolution is tracked, aligning with the quality management processes and the project work performance domain. Addressing defects proactively through a formal process is vital for maintaining project quality and stakeholder satisfaction. Question 7. A new project manager is trying to understand the overall organizational structure and how it impacts their current project. They observe that resources are shared across multiple projects, and functional managers retain significant control over their departmental staff. This organizational structure is most likely A. Project-oriented structure. B. Functional structure. C. Weak matrix structure. D. Strong matrix structure. Answer: C. Weak matrix structure. In a weak matrix organizational structure, the project manager has limited authority, often acting more as a coordinator or expediter, while functional managers maintain primary control over resources and budgets. Resources are shared across projects, but their allegiance typically remains with their functional department. This contrasts with strong matrix structures where project managers have more authority, or project-oriented structures where the project manager has full authority and dedicated resources. Understanding the organizational structure is crucial for a project manager to effectively navigate resource allocation and authority within the team and stakeholder performance domains. Knowing your organizational power helps you anticipate challenges. Question 8. A project manager is reviewing the progress of a large construction project. The earned value, EV, is $700,000, the planned value, PV, is $600,000, and the actual cost, AC, is $750,000. What is the Cost Performance Index, CPI, for this project? A. 1.16. B. 0.93. C. 1.07. D. 0.86. Answer, B. 0.93. The Cost Performance Index, CPI, is a measure of the cost efficiency of the project. It is calculated by dividing the earned value, EV, by the actual cost, AC. In this scenario, CPI equals EV/AC equals $700,000/$750,000 equals 0.93. A CPI value less than 1.0 indicates that the project is over budget for the work completed, meaning it is getting less value for the money spent than planned. Understanding CPI is crucial for monitoring cost performance within the measurement performance domain. A CPI below 1 means you're spending more to get less. Question 9. During project execution, the project manager realizes that a significant portion of the work depends on an external vendor's deliverables, and the vendor's performance has been consistently below expectations, potentially jeopardizing the project's schedule. What is the most appropriate action? A. Assume the vendor will eventually catch up and continue monitoring. B. Terminate the vendor contract immediately and find a new vendor. C. Work with the vendor to understand the root causes of underperformance and develop corrective actions. D. Assign internal team members to complete the vendor's scope of work. Answer, C. Work with the vendor to understand the root causes of underperformance and develop corrective actions. When a vendor is underperforming, the project manager's most appropriate first step is to engage collaboratively with the vendor to understand the root causes of the issues. This involves open communication to identify challenges, review contract terms, and collaboratively develop a plan for corrective actions, such as resource adjustments or revised timelines. Terminating the contract or taking over the work without communication can be costly and lead to further delays. This approach aligns with the procurement performance domain, emphasizing proactive management of external suppliers. Collaboration often yields the best outcomes when dealing with external partners. Question 10. A project team is constantly facing distractions and interruptions from external stakeholders, hindering their progress. The project manager needs to better manage stakeholder engagement. Which of the following is the most effective approach? A. Inform stakeholders that all communication must cease until project completion. B. Implement a communication management plan that defines formal channels and frequency for stakeholder interactions. C. Assign a dedicated team member to manage all stakeholder inquiries. D. Limit all stakeholder engagement to formal quarterly review meetings. Answer, B. Implement a communication management plan that defines formal channels and frequency for stakeholder interactions. Effective stakeholder engagement requires a well-defined communication management plan. This plan outlines who needs what information, when, how it will be communicated, and by whom, ensuring that stakeholders receive relevant updates through appropriate channels and at agreed-upon intervals. This approach helps manage expectations, minimizes ad hoc interruptions, and fosters a positive relationship with stakeholders, aligning with the stakeholder performance domain. Establishing clear communication guidelines creates order and reduces unnecessary distractions. Question 11. A project is halfway through its planned duration, but the team's velocity has consistently been lower than initially estimated in Agile sprints. What action should the Scrum Master take first? A. Report the reduced velocity to the product owner and ask them to reduce the scope. B. Blame the team for underperforming and demand they work overtime. C. Facilitate a discussion with the team to identify the root causes for the lower velocity and explore potential solutions. D. Increase the number of team members to improve velocity instantly. Answer: C. Facilitate a discussion with the team to identify the root causes for the lower velocity and explore potential solutions. The Scrum Master's role is to act as a servant leader and facilitate continuous improvement for the team. When velocity is lower than expected, the first step is to engage the team in a discussion, perhaps during a retrospective, to understand why the velocity is low. This collaborative approach helps uncover impediments, process inefficiencies, or estimation inaccuracies, allowing the team to collaboratively devise solutions for improvement. This aligns with the team performance domain and the Agile principle of continuous learning. Addressing the root cause with the team is always better than making assumptions or imposing solutions. Question 12. A project manager is working on a complex project with a high degree of uncertainty, where requirements are expected to evolve frequently. Which development approach would be most suitable for this project? A. Predictive life cycle. B. Waterfall methodology. C. Adaptive life cycle. D. Phased gate approach. Answer: C. Adaptive life cycle. An adaptive life cycle, commonly known as Agile, is best suited for projects with high uncertainty, evolving requirements, and a need for frequent delivery of value. This approach embraces change, uses iterative and incremental development, and allows for continuous feedback and adjustments. In contrast, predictive, waterfall approaches are best for projects with well-defined requirements and stable environments. The development approach and life cycle performance domain emphasizes choosing the right methodology to deliver the project effectively given its specific context. When uncertainty is high, flexibility is key. Question 13. A project manager is planning for project closing. What is the primary purpose of the formal administrative closure process? A. To release the project team members to their functional managers. B. To ensure all project work is completed and all contractual obligations are satisfied. C. To update the organizational process assets with lessons learned. D. To conduct a final performance review of the project manager. Answer: B. To ensure all project work is completed and all contractual obligations are satisfied. The primary purpose of administrative closure is to formally complete the project or phase by verifying that all work defined in the project management plan has been completed and all contractual obligations are met. This includes obtaining formal acceptance of deliverables, closing out contracts, and performing final financial closure. While releasing the team and updating lessons learned are important aspects of project closing, the overarching goal is to ensure project completion and formal sign-off. Proper closure ensures that nothing is left outstanding and the project is officially wrapped up. Question 14. During a project meeting, a team member expresses a concern about a potential future event that could negatively impact the project schedule. This event has not occurred yet but has a reasonable probability of occurring. How should the project manager categorize this? A. An issue. B. A defect. C. A risk. D. A constraint. Answer: C. A risk. A risk is an uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, has a positive or negative effect on one or more project objectives. The keyword, potential future event, clearly indicates that it is a risk, as it has not happened yet. An issue, in contrast, is something that has already occurred and requires immediate attention. A defect is a flaw in a deliverable, and a constraint is a limiting factor. Recognizing and categorizing uncertainties correctly is a key part of the uncertainty performance domain. Identifying potential problems early as risks allows you to plan responses rather than react to crises. Question 15. A project is currently in the execution phase, and the project manager realizes that the existing communication channels are leading to misinterpretations and delays. What should the project manager do to improve communication effectiveness? A. Increase the frequency of informal hallway conversations. B. Revise the communication management plan and ensure team members understand the updated channels. C. Assign a single team member to be responsible for all project communications. D. Send out more emails to ensure everyone gets the message. Answer: B. Revise the communication management plan and ensure team members understand the updated channels. When communication issues arise, the most effective approach is to revisit and revise the formal communication management plan. This plan dictates how, when, and by whom project information will be exchanged, including defining appropriate channels for different types of communication. Simply increasing informal communication or sending more emails without a structured approach often exacerbates miscommunication. Ensuring the team understands and adheres to the updated plan is critical for improving overall communication effectiveness within the project work performance domain. A clear communication plan is your roadmap to effective information flow. Question 16. A project manager is performing quality assurance activities. What is the primary focus of performing quality assurance? A. Identifying specific defects in deliverables. B. Monitoring specific project results to determine if they comply with relevant quality standards. C. Ensuring that quality processes are being followed throughout the project. D. Determining whether quality management is cost-effective. Answer: C. Ensuring that quality processes are being followed throughout the project. Performing quality assurance, PQA, focuses on auditing the quality requirements and the results from quality control measurements to ensure that appropriate quality standards and operational definitions are used. Its primary goal is to ensure that the quality processes themselves are being followed and are effective, rather than identifying specific defects, which is the role of quality control. PQA is about improving the processes used to create deliverables, not just inspecting the deliverables themselves, aligning with the project work performance domain. Think of quality assurance as checking the process, while quality control checks the product. Question 17. The project sponsor has requested an updated project schedule, but the current schedule is showing significant delays due to unexpected resource unavailability. The project manager needs to compress the schedule without increasing the overall project risk or cost significantly. Which technique is most appropriate for this scenario? A. Crashing. B. Fast tracking. C. Resource leveling. D. Monte Carlo simulation. Answer: B. Fast tracking. Fast tracking is a schedule compression technique where activities that would normally be performed in sequence are performed in parallel, or partially in parallel. This can shorten the project duration without adding significant cost, though it often increases risk due to potential rework or miscommunication. Crashing, while also compressing the schedule, typically involves adding resources or working overtime, which increases cost. Resource leveling aims to optimize resource utilization, not necessarily shorten the schedule. Monte Carlo simulation is a risk analysis tool. Fast tracking is chosen here as it helps compress the schedule without significant cost increase, fitting the planning performance domain. When time is critical but budget is tight, fast tracking is a viable option, but be mindful of the increased risk. Question 18. A project team is experiencing difficulty in achieving consensus on critical decisions, leading to delays. The project manager observes that some team members are dominating discussions, while others are hesitant to speak up. Which team management technique should the project manager employ? A. Autocratic decision-making. B. Facilitation skills. C. Resource acquisition. D. Performance appraisals. Answer: B. Facilitation skills. When a team struggles with consensus and participation, the project manager needs to apply strong facilitation skills. Facilitation involves guiding discussions, encouraging balanced participation, managing conflicts, and ensuring that all voices are heard to help the team reach effective decisions collaboratively. This technique is crucial for developing high-performing teams and improving team dynamics, which falls under the team performance domain. A skilled facilitator can turn a chaotic discussion into a productive decision-making session. Question 19. A project manager is faced with a new regulatory requirement that will significantly impact the project's scope and budget. This change was not anticipated during the initial planning. What should be the project manager's immediate next step? A. Ignore the new requirement as it was not part of the baseline. B. Implement the change immediately to ensure compliance. C. Analyze the impact of the new requirement on project objectives and baselines. D. Inform the team to stop all work until the requirement is fully understood. Answer: C. Analyze the impact of the new requirement on project objectives and baselines. When an unanticipated external factor like a new regulatory requirement emerges, the project manager's immediate responsibility is to assess its impact thoroughly. This involves analyzing how the change will affect the project's scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, and risks. This assessment is a critical input to the formal change control process, enabling informed decisions by relevant stakeholders. This process is essential for managing the business environment performance domain, ensuring compliance while maintaining project control. Understanding the full impact before acting is key to making informed decisions. Question 20. In an Agile project, the team identifies a potential risk that could severely impact the current sprint goal. What is the most common Agile practice for addressing newly identified risks or issues during a sprint? A. Waiting until the end of the project to document all risks. B. Adding the risk to the product backlog for the product owner to prioritize in a future sprint. C. Discussing it during the daily scrum and addressing it immediately if it's an impediment. D. Documenting it in a formal risk register and holding a separate risk review meeting. Answer: C. Discussing it during the daily scrum and addressing it immediately if it's an impediment. In Agile projects, the daily scrum or stand-up is a key meeting where the team synchronizes activities and identifies impediments or new risks that could jeopardize the sprint goal. When a new risk or issue is identified, it's typically raised during the daily scrum. If it's an impediment, the Scrum Master facilitates its immediate resolution or escalation, or the team collaboratively decides how to address it to protect the sprint goal. This rapid response aligns with the Agile principle of adaptability and continuous attention to technical excellence. The daily scrum is the heartbeat for identifying and swiftly tackling problems. Question 21. A project manager needs to present the project's financial status to stakeholders. The project has a budget at completion, BAC, of $1 million. At the current point, the project has spent $600,000, AC, and earned $550,000, EV. What is the estimate at completion, EAC, if the project continues at the current CPI? A. $1 million. B. $1,090,909. C. $916,667. D. $1,200,000. Answer: B. $1,090,909. The estimate at completion, EAC, is a forecast of the total cost at the end of the project. When assuming the project will continue at its current cost performance, CPI, the formula is EAC equals BAC/CPI. First, calculate CPI equals EV/AC equals $550,000/$600,000 equals 0.916667. Then, EAC equals $1 million/0.916667 equals $1,090,909. This calculation helps project managers forecast future costs based on past performance, informing decisions within the measurement performance domain. Understanding EAC variations is vital for accurate financial forecasting and managing stakeholder expectations. Question 22. A project manager is working on a global project with team members distributed across different time zones and cultures. What is the most critical factor to consider when planning project communications? A. Using only email for all communications to ensure written records. B. Relying primarily on asynchronous communication due to time zone differences. C. Tailoring communication methods and content to cultural differences and logistical constraints. D. Scheduling all meetings at the project manager's local time zone to ensure attendance. Answer: C. Tailoring communication methods and content to cultural differences and logistical constraints. For global, distributed teams, effective communication goes beyond simply choosing a tool. It requires careful consideration of cultural nuances, language barriers, and time zone differences. Tailoring the communication plan means selecting appropriate channels, e.g., video conferencing for visual cues, detailed documentation for clarity, adjusting meeting times, and ensuring messages are culturally sensitive and clearly understood by all recipients. This proactive approach helps overcome communication barriers and fosters better team collaboration within the project work performance domain. Adapting your communication style to your audience ensures your message is truly received. Question 23. The project team has delivered a component that meets all the specifications but doesn't fully satisfy the customer's unstated expectation of ease of use. This suggests a deficiency in which area? A. Quality control. B. Quality assurance. C. Scope definition. D. Resource management. Answer: C. Scope definition. When a deliverable meets explicit specifications but fails to meet an unstated or underlying customer need, it points to an issue in the initial scope definition and requirements gathering. The project team may have built the product correctly, quality control, and followed processes correctly, quality assurance, but they built the wrong product in terms of actual customer value. This highlights the importance of thorough requirements elicitation and stakeholder engagement to fully understand both stated and unstated needs. A robust scope definition, within the planning performance domain, ensures that the project delivers what the customer truly values, not just what was written down. Always strive to understand the why behind requirements, not just the what. Question 24. A project manager is facilitating a retrospective at the end of an Agile sprint. The team identifies several process improvements they want to implement. What should be the next step for these improvements? A. Document them as lessons learned and save them for the end of the project. B. Assign them to the product owner for prioritization in the next sprint. C. Incorporate a few actionable improvements into the next sprint's plan and backlog. D. Implement all identified improvements immediately, regardless of effort. Answer: C. Incorporate a few actionable improvements into the next sprint's plan and backlog. Retrospectives in Agile projects are dedicated events for the team to reflect on the past sprint and identify ways to improve. The purpose is continuous improvement, so identified improvements should be actionable and implemented as soon as possible. It's usually not feasible to implement all improvements, so the team selects a few key ones to incorporate into their working agreements or add to the next sprint's backlog as improvement tasks. This iterative approach to self-improvement is central to the team performance domain and the Agile mindset. Don't just talk about improvements, embed them into your next steps. Question 25. A project manager is conducting a qualitative risk analysis for identified project risks. What is the primary purpose of this activity? A. To numerically estimate the financial impact of each risk. B. To prioritize risks for further analysis or response planning based on probability and impact. C. To develop detailed risk response strategies for all identified risks. D. To determine the overall monetary value of the project's risk exposure. Answer: B. To prioritize risks for further analysis or response planning based on probability and impact. Qualitative risk analysis is the process of assessing the probability of occurrence and the potential impact of identified risks. Its primary purpose is to prioritize risks by ranking them based on their qualitative assessment, often using a probability and impact matrix. This helps the project manager focus efforts on the most critical risks that warrant further quantitative analysis or immediate response planning, aligning with the uncertainty performance domain. Qualitative analysis helps you quickly sort and prioritize risks, so you know which ones to tackle first.